Hey everybody, it's Desiree and welcome to Road2Par the Podcast. Here we'll be helping you enhance your golf experiences through a little education, a little entertainment, and events and travel. So stay tuned, we have some live interviews that'll be coming up and just talking more in depth about the golf community and where we are, where we've been, and where we're going. So stay tuned for your Road to Par. Welcome, everybody, to Road to Par, the podcast. I am your host, Desiree, and we are here with an exciting program for you today. I am thankful to be joined by two amazing people from the Course Superintendents Association of America. We have Rhett Evans and Shelia Finney. Thank you all for coming on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Desiree.
Listen, absolutely.
I'm excited. I had an amazing guest on maybe a few episodes into season 1, and you all are my kickoff season 2. So that's like another great thing for this show. And we were talking about superintendents and programs that give back to youth, right? So we've heard about the First Tee program where we're talking about youth that are playing. But I really wanted to know, because I was talking to a superintendent, and I said, well, what is there for kids to get involved from a superintendent side? And he said, well, have you heard of the first green? And I was just like, I have never. So I appreciate you all coming on today. Can you tell us a little bit about the First Green program?
Yeah, you know what, let me kick this off and then I'll let Shelia get into a little more details. This is an area that she has a deep passion for. I think we all do, but with Shelia being a former superintendent for over 25 years, she can really talk the talk here and is super excited about what this opportunity brings to young people. And so Desiree, when we boil this down and just look at what the First Green is, it's literally taking young people out of a classroom and putting them into the environment. And in this case, it happens to be a golf course where they get to learn about STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we use the golf course as a living laboratory to bring all of that to life. And so, Shelia, tell them a little bit about some of the activities that they get to do while they're out there at the golf course.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of pre-made lesson plans that we're able to share with our members, the golf course superintendent, and the teachers. So it could be something like anywhere from measuring the square footage of a green to get into the math. And the kids will actually do all the measurements, do the worksheet, the superintendent's there with them. Or it could be talking about soil sciences, where we put in upside down Coke bottles with the bottom cut out. You put sandy soil in one, loamy soil in another, and clay soil in that third one, and pour water through it. And you talk about the different water infiltration rates in the different soils. So what the teachers and the superintendents do is they look at all these lesson plans that we've already done, and teachers vetted them, and they will fit which lesson plans fit into what they're teaching in the classroom, so that they're able to take that classroom learning out onto a golf course, see it in real world, and actually get to experience the environment that is a golf course. And it's really cool because these lesson plans are so scalable. You can go all the way from preschool and keep it very simple and very fun, and go on up through middle school and into high school. And it also gives these kids that have never had the opportunity to be on a golf course before the opportunity to see it and know that there are careers on a golf course. One of my favorite ones that I went to, there was a little girl that got down on a green and she rubbed the grass on the green and she looked up and she said, "This is real." So it is just so much fun to watch these kids actually take science, technology, engineering, and math into this real world situation and see how it applies. And it's not just classroom material anymore. And they get to see not only the career opportunities that are on the golf course maintenance side, superintendent, irrigation, equipment manager, but they get to see how the stuff that they're learning in the classroom can apply to a real world job. the soil sciences, the environmental science, how technology, the cool tools that we use on a golf course. It is a great learning experience.
Well, I mean, it sounds like an amazing program. I mean, just hearing you all talk about it, there are so many different angles that one could actually come into possibly being a superintendent. I mean, I've heard from the science aspect, the technology aspect, and I've been out there before on the golf course, and I'm like, how do they put it all together? So, Rhett, let me ask you this question, because how long has GCSAA been around?
So we're going on, well, we're 97 years. Yeah, going
Wow.
on 97 years.
Wow. And then, so 97 years is a long time. And then to be able to bring into programs of this nature where you're getting people involved, do all superintendents kind of come from the same path? So as we're teaching these kids, is it kind of the same, or do they come from a different place?
Yeah, I think that's what's so great about this program, Desiree, is that traditionally most superintendents, would kind of grow up around golf, right? Their father played, or their father was a superintendent, or they just had, a grandmother that played the game, or whatever the case was. But as we go through time here, golf has obviously struggled a bit, with just getting labor, getting people to play the game. I think we're doing a great job now of especially during the COVID, of getting people out and playing and so forth. But we've had, as an association over this time period, had to look at different opportunities to really share what golf course superintendents do. And this is a program that we feel offers that opportunity to all walks of life. And so, as Shelia mentioned, starting at a very young age, from a kindergartner that may never ever think about, having a career in golf, they get that experience to walk out on a golf course and learn about the fact that there are many opportunities outside of playing the game, because as we all know, many people, most of us, including myself, are not going to become PGA professionals or LPGA professionals,
Yeah.
right? As much as we want to do that.
Right.
But you know what? We do have an interest in a lot of environmental issues and science, technology, and math. And so why not put it to work on a golf course? And so that's the beauty of this program, Desiree, is that we get to share it with folks that really probably were not thinking about it before.
Now, to that point, going back to you, Shelia, you mentioned about teachers. So do you all work with school programs or directly with schools and superintendents? How does that work?
So yeah, the model works however that school system needs it to work. It can be a one-on-one relationship with the golf course superintendent and a teacher. Maybe their child goes to that school and that's how they made that connection. But we also have budding relationships with school systems. I just got to present to a school board last week.
Wow.
Yeah, and they want to adopt, they actually have a STEAM program, so it's STEM with the A for arts.
Nice.
And they are a STEAM certified school system, a county-wide school system, and they want to adopt First Green into their curriculum.
Wow.
So and you and I talked a little bit, First Green is not a bricks and mortar, right? There's not a hard location. So that means it's very adaptable to whatever the needs of the people that want to do that program are.
Well, and that's exciting because you're not limited to just certain areas, if you will. You have the ability to be all over. Now, with that ability, do you find that, are you more northern or southern, or as far as the programs are out there, or do you find that they kind of gravitate all over?
So
it's kind of all over.
All over. And it's interesting, the history of First Green. It was really, started, Shelia, almost 20 plus years ago.
Wow.
Yep,
And
1997.
It was in the Northwest, and just a great group of volunteers that had a passion about teaching and learning and golf, and they mixed the two together and came up with the First Green. But they approached us several years ago and said, you know what, to your question, or to your point, this needs to go all over. It can't just be in Portland or Seattle or the Northwest. Let's get this thing across America. And so they knew that we had the opportunity or the ability to try to put that on a national stage, of which we're doing. And, as we get the opportunity to talk with folks like you and get the message out there to parents get the message out there to young people that, you know what, there are, again, great things await you. And hopefully you can, push your teacher, push your superintendents, your golf courses to host a first green event. Because like Shelia said, there's no stopping this. There's no bricks and mortar involved. Let's just get some folks on a school bus, get them out there and have an enjoyable time to where it could change some people's lives.
Now, I know that both of you come from a very amazing background in the industry. And so I really kind of was a little interested in that as well. So, Shelia, I didn't know you had 20 years as a super, which is, I mean, that's, you don't find 20 women out here, do you?
No, you don't. And, you were talking about what is the path to get into golf. Well, I majored in drama and speech communications in college. I had never been on a golf course. I accidentally got a job doing landscaping, and the golf course was small enough that they couldn't afford somebody that's all they did. So in the morning I changed cups, I mowed greens, I did all of the greenskeeper type of stuff, and I fell head over heels in love with the industry. So I'm actually one of those weird path people that came in from the back door. But that's also what's so neat about this industry is there is no set path.
Right.
There are many ways to get into it. And I worked my way up through the crew, started off being a regular crew member and then became an assistant. And then I was the golf course superintendent at the Opryland Hotel Golf Course in Nashville, Tennessee for 25 years.
Wow. And I heard it was very beautiful out there. So I'm sure that must have been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Rhett, how about you? How did you get into this career path?
Yeah, so I've been involved in sports. I got my master's degree in sports management and worked for the Utah Jazz with the NBA, and they did some things with the Chicago Cubs on the baseball side. And then based on, again, my situation, I had the opportunity to manage two golf courses that were in our portfolio, and fell in love like Shelia did with golf, and had grown up playing with my grandfather and my father. But when we started managing the different operations, there is so much good that comes out of the game. Obviously the sport, the fitness, and just the playing of the game has so many benefits, as I know you've talked about before, and that firsthand, Desiree, for your love for the game. But when it comes to what golf does for communities, when it comes to what golf does for the environment, when it comes to what golf does for young people, that is something that is very unique to sports and very unique to really the world we're living in right now. And golf still has a long ways to go. It needs to become more diverse. It needs to become more inviting. It needs to be, again, a place that people can look at for opportunity and again, just growth. And I think this first green that does that. And so to go back to your question, that's why I kind of migrated into golf, is because there's just great things that are going on to where you get to affect people's lives and be a part of really trying to change and make things better.
Well, and I think that goes to the very core of what you said in terms of how do we grow? How do we continue to grow, right? So as we have tons of new players, there's so much more than just playing. There's the part of the game that, for instance, we just had a Masters in November.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know, I'm pretty sure like most people, I was looking at it like, oh my God, where are the flowers? And I'm looking at the course and
where are the fans?
Right. Well, but the thing is, like, when you look at, or you think about the Masters and you think about Augusta National, you think about how beautiful it is. And a lot of people don't really realize that beauty comes from the superintendents and all the work that goes into it. And I'm like everybody else, I'm following social media and looking at the early morning cuts, and they're out there and they're testing the greens. And I'm like, oh my God, like, it's just amazing. But with all that being said, all the work that you all have done, and I also noticed, and we talked about it earlier, so First Green is also part of a nonprofit component of your organization, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What I also found is you also have some scholarships for professionals who are currently in the field to further help them grow too. Is that correct?
Yeah, one of the things, Desiree, that we're trying to do is just not be kind of a one and done. And because let's be real, if somebody just has one single experience, while it may resonate with them and they'll go home and tell their parents about it, the chances of them just saying, I'm going to be a golf course superintendent from that one experience isn't enough. And so we need to continue to do more. That's the reason Shelia and her team have taken this to where it's not just curriculum for elementary school or even junior high. We're moving this and doing things with high school kids so that hopefully that young person gets exposure, gets that opportunity several times throughout their school years. But in terms of scholarships and opportunities, once somebody wants to become more involved, we're really trying to create a career path so that they can continue to get to our golf industry show, for an example, where there's a myriad of education, a myriad of opportunities to network and to talk to folks like Shelia about careers and becoming a superintendent. We have other scholarship opportunities, whether they want to become an equipment manager, they want to work on the maintenance side of the business. And so, again, we're trying to connect all of those dots with the things that we do with the Golf Course Superintendents Association to where a young person could really eventually become a superintendent at an Augusta National, for an example, and host an event like the Masters, and it can be done.
And that's amazing. And that was one of the things I think that we hear so much about the PGA, who is a powerhouse, whether it's the tour, the association, but we also need to hear about the people who are actually making it happen. And that's why it's so amazing to see the programs that you all have working and continue to work. Now, I heard you mention a golf industry show. Now, is that like your big PGA merchandise show? Is that your big Super Bowl?
It is, and that's a good way to describe it. It's our, I guess let's call it our major golf event, right? Okay. It's a major for us, and it's a chance for our 19,000 members to come together. We have members all across the globe, and it's an opportunity, number one, for them to get education, number two, for them to network and to grow their professional development with other working superintendents. And third, it's just an opportunity to see what's going on in the industry from new equipment, latest technology. And so there's a trade show component. And again, Shelia has been a part of that show from an attendee for many years. And I know, Shelia, it's definitely helped your career.
Oh, yeah. GCSAA, back when I first got into this industry, was my sole access to education. So GCSA taught me to be a superintendent, and one of the things that I really love working with the students, and students can become a member of GCSA for free. Oh. And then they can go to this golf industry show for free. Wow. And this year, because of COVID, our golf industry show is the first week in February, so it's virtual. And we have the opportunity for these young people to actually come to the show for free virtually and not have to travel.
That's amazing.
And yes, there is education that's up at this level for our superintendents that have been a superintendent for a long time, but there's also some good base level education. Mm-hmm. And there's networking opportunities for young people to connect with the superintendents at the golf course and talk about job opportunities, even if it's the opportunity to go meet the superintendent and do a job shadow day to see what that is all about. So it's lots of opportunities.
Now, and kind of going back to the early part of the conversation and kind of pulling in what you just said, there is a lot of education in this. One would even think you could probably even get a degree with all the amount of information that you have to have walking in. Are there any type of colleges or programs that kind of give you like associates or even a 4-year degree in this?
Oh, yeah. You can go all the way from a 6-week certificate at Purdue University up to a full 4-year college degree at quite a few universities across the country.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rhett.
Well, I was just going to say, Desiree, to tie back to that golf industry show, our Super Bowl, one of the things that we do for students is we have what's called the Turf Bowl. And so we have, how many teams? 40 teams, Shelia?
Yeah.
Roughly?
Yeah.
So 40 university teams, and we're talking Penn State and Purdue and Rutgers and all across the nation are bringing students together, form a team. So Desiree and Shelia and Rhett will form a team, and we're going to go into a classroom and we're going to take all kinds of, we'll go into different settings where we've got to identify weeds, we've got to identify grasses, we've got to do essay questions, and basically the best team's going to win, and they're going to, announce the winner of a turf bowl, and we do that every year. And so it's very competitive, and all of these folks are going after, degrees in agronomy or different related fields. It's pretty cool.
It sounds really competitive in terms of not just competitive, against each other, but interactive. And I think that's what's the interesting part. And I think Shelia talked about it earlier, keeping the kids engaged, right? So at what age does the first green program start?
Well, you can start in kindergarten. I know that we've had one event. Typically, it starts in the 5th to 6th grade range.
Okay.
But it can be scaled, and we've had some high school events. So like the math at the 5th and 6th grade level is this hard, and when you get to high school, it's harder.
Right.
So yeah, it's very scalable across all of the grades. Typically, it's 5th and 6th, but it can go both ends of that.
I mean, that's amazing, because when you look at all the work that goes into it, and as you said, scalable. So we're taking it all the way to college, and even further into your career, where it's a constant learning. And I'm sure, and you mentioned COVID earlier, so much is probably changing, and we're trying to keep up with, we once had 100 rounds in a day, now we're up to like 200 rounds, right? So how do we keep our greens pristine condition, and how do we account for, they'd say we are in global warming. So if we're in global warming, we have different rain and different circumstances. And that is all on the superintendents. And I mean, it's just amazing all the work that you all have to put into it. I will have to say that I didn't know any of this, right? So when it was Ben Ellis, who's here in the Fort Belvoir golf course, when he told me about the first green, I'm like, wait, so just like we take kids to play, we can take kids to learn. And for me, I was like, well, wow, this might give kids more jobs, right? So more youth have opportunity to have jobs that are creative and really hands-on to the earth. And so he's telling about the program, and I was able to get in touch with you all, which has been truly amazing to have you on here. One of the things that, and we continue to try to grow the industry from player to patron to working inside. What are some of the things that you all feel are most important for the industry to do to keep the engagement for people coming in and trying to stay in?
So you want to go first?
Well, I think I can address it from the superintendent side of a young person coming onto their golf course to work, to explore it as a career opportunity. And young people today, there are so many career opportunities out there that they oftentimes don't stick with a job long enough to get over that hump of learning, and it's hard. And so I would say that what our industry needs to do for these young people is keep it fun. Keep them engaged, listen to them, talk to them, let them try out things that they're thinking of. And quite honestly, this is a great time to decide to go walk on a golf course and ask for a job, because you will be hired. So there are a lot of opportunities, but I would say that the young people need to stick with it and learn it, because it is a fantastic career. And what really drew me into the career, I loved working outside. I loved doing it, but the camaraderie of all the superintendents. I mean, we're technically in competition with each other because we're trying to get the same golfers, but we don't act that way. We help each other. We help each other all the time. Superintendents will go over to other golf courses that aren't even theirs to help the superintendent there, and do it without blinking. And that, I love that about this industry.
And Desiree, I'll just add a couple of comments. I know we're getting to the top of the hour here, but when you look at life cycles of different businesses, right? Whether it's, the law business, if you want to be an attorney or whatever, I mean, it kind of ebb and flows. Well, our business right now is, to Shelia's point, there are great opportunities because we have a number of folks, the baby boomers that are retiring, and we have this opportunity wave that's coming, that if you can just stick it out, and yeah, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of education, but I'm telling you, when you look at what a superintendent does day in and day out, they are running a business. They're running one of the biggest crew at the golf course in terms of just dealing with HR challenges, dealing with budgets. You think of all of the equipment, the capital purchases, renovations, construction projects. So I think maybe some of your listeners and viewers may think, oh, well, last thing I want to do is have my kid just, spend a bunch of money on their education and all they're going to be doing is having a shovel in their hand. This is so much more than that.
Yeah.
And there is a great opportunity for them to make a very, very good living in the world of golf, and to really expand their horizons to where they can be the general manager of the operation. They can do all kinds of things with the knowledge that they're going to gain. And so we certainly want to encourage all of your listeners and parents that may have young people to, one, knock on their teacher's door and let's get the first green going, because that'll be a start of exposing them to this industry. And then by all means, reach out to us if they've got career questions. We can get them lined up with various universities and professors in their area that could offer scholarships to get them the education that they need to ultimately join this great family of golf course superintendents around the globe. And we'd love to welcome them from wherever they come.
Well, I love it. And this sounds so exciting. First of all, I can't wait for you all to come to DC. I know that I heard Little Birdie said there might be something rumbling soon. So
absolutely
looking forward to it. And I must say, happy holidays. And thank you all for so much for joining me. I'm looking forward to so many great things that come out of your organization. Looking forward to sharing it, and I appreciate you being on Road to Par. So thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you for joining us for another wonderful show of Road to Par, the podcast. We just wanted to remind you that views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on Road to Par, the podcast are that of the hosts and Road to Par LLC. All of our guests, callers, advertisers are independently of their own. So thank you again for joining us, and look forward to having you join us on our Road to Par.